Imagine a quiet Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the hum of fluorescent lights in a supermarket feels like the loudest sound in the world. Shoppers push their carts, eyes glazed over with their grocery lists, lost in the mundane rhythm of everyday life. But what if I told you that on one such ordinary day, amidst the rows of produce and towering shelves, a moment of profound, unscripted kindness unfolded, a secret act of generosity that was never meant to be seen? What if I told you that the man at the center of this quiet drama was none other than the formidable Jason Statham, and the truth of his character was only revealed when security footage, against all odds, leaked to the world? Arthur Pendleton had lived a life of quiet dignity. 82 years old, with a wiry frame and eyes that held the wisdom of decades, he was a creature of habit. Every Tuesday, without fail, Arthur made his pilgrimage to the local grocery store, a worn canvas bag clutched in his hand. His pension stretched thin, and each item in his cart was a carefully considered necessity. Today, the weight of his small purchases felt heavier than usual. A bag of rice, a tin of sardines, a loaf of bread, and a carton of milk, the staples that would see him through another week. His joints ached with a persistent throb, a constant companion that reminded him of time's relentless march. He navigated the aisles slowly, his movements deliberate, his mind calculating every penny, every calorie. The world often seemed to move too fast for Arthur, a blur of technology and hurried faces, but in the grocery store, he found a predictable comfort, a small corner of routine in a chaotic world. Arthur eventually made his way to the checkout lane, the shortest one, as always. He began to carefully unload his items onto the conveyor belt, each movement a testament to his age. As he fumbled with a stubborn bag of frozen peas, a shadow fell over him. He barely registered the presence of the man behind him in line, a tall, powerfully built individual with a cap pulled low, seemingly engrossed in his phone. Arthur, focused on the task at hand, simply grunted in mild frustration as the peas slipped from his grasp and rolled precariously close to the edge of the belt. The man behind him, however, had noticed. Without a word, he reached out, his hand moving with a surprising gentleness, and retrieved the errant bag, placing it back on the belt for Arthur. Arthur offered a small, grateful nod, not looking up, assuming it was just another hurried shopper. The interaction was brief, almost imperceptible, a fleeting moment of ordinary courtesy that would have been forgotten by most. The cashier, a young woman named Chloe, scanned Arthur's items with practiced efficiency. The total flashed on the screen, 19.88. Arthur reached into his worn wallet, his fingers fumbling with the few crumpled bills inside. He counted them out slowly, his brow furrowed in concentration. 110, 2 fives, and some change. He paused, his hand hovering over a lone dollar bill. He had miscalculated. The milk, a recent price increase he hadn't accounted for, pushed him just over. A quiet sigh escaped his lips, barely audible. I'm afraid I'm a little short, dear, he murmured, his voice tinged with a quiet embarrassment. I'll have to put back the milk. Chloe, used to such situations, nodded sympathetically, her hand already reaching for the carton. For Arthur, this was more than just milk, it was a small defeat, a reminder of his dwindling resources, a tiny chip at his enduring pride. He hated having to put things back, hated the feeling of being unable to afford even the simplest necessities. Just as Chloe's fingers brushed the milk carton, a hand reached over Arthur's shoulder. It wasn't Chloe's. It was the hand of the man behind him. Don't worry about it, a deep, gravelly voice said, not loud, but firm. I've got it. Arthur looked up, startled, his eyes meeting the steely gaze of the man who had helped him with the peas. It was Jason Statham. Arthur, vaguely familiar with his face from the occasional movie poster, didn't immediately recognize him as a global superstar. He simply saw a man, younger than himself, with an air of quiet authority. Before Arthur could protest, Statham had already swiped his card. The transaction was complete, the receipt printing with a soft whir. No, please, young man, you don't have to do that, Arthur stammered, his cheeks flushing. Statham simply offered a slight, almost imperceptible nod, a gesture that conveyed both understanding and a gentle finality. "It's nothing," he said, his voice low, his eyes already drifting towards the exit. He didn't want a fuss, didn't want recognition. He simply wanted to help. Arthur stood there for a moment, clutching his newly paid-for groceries, the warmth of the milk carton a surprising comfort in his hand. He watched as the man, Jason Statham, quietly collected his own items, a small bag containing what looked like protein powder and bottled water, and walked out of the store, blending into the afternoon sun. Chloe, the cashier, was the first to gasp. Was that Jason Statham?" she whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. Another shopper, who had been observing the quiet exchange from the next aisle, nodded vigorously. "I think so. He just paid for that old man's groceries." The whispers began, spreading through the checkout lines like a ripple. But by then, Statham was long gone, his act of kindness performed with no expectation of reward or recognition. Arthur, still processing the unexpected generosity, felt a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with the sun. He simply knew a kind stranger had helped him, and that was enough. For days, the story remained a hushed anecdote among the grocery store staff and a handful of lucky shoppers. No one thought much more of it. Celebrities, after all, were known for their grand gestures, but this was different, quiet, unassuming, almost accidental. That is, until a week later, when a low-resolution video clip began to circulate on an obscure local forum, then rapidly migrated to social media. It was grainy, shot from a security camera positioned above the checkout lanes. The timestamp clearly showed the date and time of Arthur's grocery trip. The footage, initially just a blur of figures, zoomed in with surprising clarity, revealing the full interaction, Arthur's struggle, his quiet despair over the milk, and then, the unmistakable figure of Jason Statham, stepping forward, his hand swiping his card without hesitation, his face a mask of calm resolve. The video was short, less than a minute, but it captured the entire unvarnished truth. It was raw, unedited, and deeply human. The internet, as it often does, exploded. The footage went viral within hours. People who had only ever seen Jason Statham as a stoic action hero, a man of few words and powerful punches, were confronted with a different side of him entirely. There was no grandstanding, no cameras, no publicists. It was a simple, private act of compassion, captured only by the cold, unblinking eye of a security camera. The comments sections overflowed with admiration, not just for Statham, but for the quiet dignity of Arthur, and the unexpected beauty of everyday kindness. The truth was, Jason Statham hadn't bought those groceries for fame or publicity, he had done it because he saw someone in need and acted on a simple, human impulse. The security footage, leaked by an anonymous employee who felt the world deserved to see this moment, became a testament to the fact that true character is often revealed not in the spotlight, but in the quiet, unobserved moments when no one thinks you're watching. It served as a powerful reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary acts of heroism are found not in explosive car chases or daring rescues, but in the simple, profound gesture of paying for someone else's milk.